Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. All right, well, we got a doozy of a question to propose here today. What is the perfect AR-15? I mean, now, look, everyone's answer is going to be a little different. Of course, everyone's needs are going to be different and what they view as being the perfect setup for them. I'm going to go over some of the things that I think are, ideal for an AR-15 setup. I want to know what you guys think as well. But I think maybe if you give me a chance, you'll see that some of my choices make a lot of sense in a lot of different ways. So we will get cracking on this, and I know we're going to definitely open up a can of worms here. But before we get started, I do want to thank our friends at Choq. We have partnered with them. They are a great group of people. They actually offer a whole lineup of products that are formulated to increase your energy, your focus. They detoxify your body. They boost your testosterone. They have something called the Choq Male Vitality Stack. It's been clinically studied to boost your free testosterone in 87% in just 3 short weeks. So you don't have to worry about any kind of like gimmicky vegetable pills or powder. You'll feel the difference right away, and they have all the clinical studies to back this up. If you guys decide that you want to get a Choq subscription, you can get 25% off of your life subscription. Just go to choq.com. That's CHOQ, Charlie Hotel Oscar Quebec.com. And you use the code LLP. That's Lima Papa. That's 25% off any subscription for life, and you can cancel anytime you want. Choq is made right here in America, and they have all American customer service based representatives standing by in case you need anything. So check them out. Choq is really cool. As we get older, a little help in the area of the testosterone is not a bad thing, especially if we can do it naturally and without the need of any sort of TRT or anything. All right, so let's get to the question at hand. Is there a perfect AR-15? I mean, of course, as I said in the intro, everyone's needs are going to be a little bit different. I mean, I find myself really loving like a 20-inch DMR with like a nice, powerful scope on it. And even in 5.56, it can deliver the goods at some pretty respectable ranges. And it's soft shooting, not a lot of recoil, and, really good accuracy out of a nice rig. I think I find myself now preferring the shorter rigs, and I don't know if this is necessarily just a glowing testimonial for Daniel Defense, but I'll show you the rig that I have here. So this is a Daniel Defense Mark 18, and this one is set up with the EOTech red dot and EOTech magnifier that flips out of the way, okay? And we have this is the Daniel Defense, this one is the SoundGuard series of suppressors that I've got on this, the matching can. So you just have a collapsible stock, a 10.3-inch barrel, a full quad rail, and this is kind of a no bullcrap, basic, straight to business type of AR. Now, I actually don't have a sling on this freaking rifle. I feel like such a moron. I've got to get me a QD point here and put myself a sling on this, and I still haven't decided what flashlight I want to put on this particular rifle. But the reason I chose this one is because it's light and handy, and it's easy to carry around, easy to patrol with, easy to just stow away and use for whatever type of scenario that you might need it for. The magnifier flips out of the way, and you have a great red dot here from EOTech. Of course, you can put the magnifier on and have a little bit more distance, which with a 10.3, I mean, this gun will drill a coyote target at 300, 400 yards without thinking about it pretty easily. I personally wouldn't really feel that it's useful for much longer distances than that practically. I view the AR-15, especially in 5.56, as just being a great 300-yard gun. Something that, 300 yards is kind of where it shines. I mean, you can shoot them out to 550. You can shoot them out to longer distances. Obviously, with heavy pills and long barrels, you can push a little more powder and get that longer distance. But I feel like 5.56 sort of has gone the same way that 308 has gone in terms of treating it as some sort of long-range rifle cartridge. I mean, 5.56 is a handy cartridge, but let's face it, with things like 6 ARC and, there are so many better long-range shooting cartridges in bolt guns, such as 6.5 PRC, 300 PRC, 300 Norma. I mean, you guys get the idea. There's tons of great 6 mils and 6.5s throughout the short action and long action type of arrangements in the AR-15 and AR-10 that it really just sort of pushes the 5.56, in my opinion, kind of into just a personal defense role and arguably in room-to-room distances and close-in distances. I mean, you take this gun and load it with load it with M855A1, okay, which is a pretty, good projectile that's relatively optimized for the shorter barrels. Also, Federal used to have a 60, I want to say it's a 62, or maybe even, it might even be an odd number, like a 63 or 64 grain bonded bear claw bullet that they actually designed for use, the FBI to use in their short barreled, setups. And it was optimized to expand out of shorter barrels. So if I had to choose a perfect AR, I would say a Daniel Defense Mark 18 with a 10.3 inch barrel, M855A1 service ammunition, or the FBI load that's like the 62 grain bonded bear claw. It's a soft point and actually expands really well even out of a short barrel. So given the body armor ratings and how much those have changed, I've done some videos where I've discussed some of the new body armor ratings from Premier. And Premier was the one that turned me on to the new body armor rating that came out this year. It's like an intermediate rating. It's a much lighter plate that can soak up a lot of 5.56, primarily even out of a short barrel like this. Now, of course, longer barrels, more velocity, it may kind of get to the point where it can defeat some types of armor. Still, okay, long barrel equals more velocity, and more velocity equals more power and more speed, and ultimately, depending on the design of the projectile, more penetrating capabilities. So in my mind, I treat the 5.56 now as a close-in personal defense type of setup. It's not my go-to for a long-range type of application. However, if I want to make a precise shot at 500 or 600 yards, I have a 20-inch AR with a 6-power ACOG on it that actually performs very well, and it has a nice low tone out of the suppressor, and it sounds good. It conceals my location. It's very hearing safe. It is not a disastrously loud gun. It's just a 20-inch DI gun with a BCM ion bond-coated barrel, match grade barrel. And that gun, yeah, if I need to shoot a coyote at 600 yards and use 5.56 for that purpose, yes, for long-range varmint hunting or just to place a precise shot at longer range, yeah, 500 or 600 yards with a 5.56 with a 20-inch barrel, no problem. I feel confident doing that, and I feel that it'll do that with some relatively boring regularity. I kind of treat the Mark 18 like a 300-yard gun, because that's where it really excels. And of course, close in, now we take that same FBI federal bonded bullet that they did for the FBI. Now, unfortunately, this ammo cannot be obtained anymore. Both M855A1 and the 62 grain bonded FBI load are both, I don't know if they're out of production, but they're very difficult to buy as a civilian. I know it's dumb, but that's just the reality of it. It is out there. You can find it. Those are the two loads that I recommend in the 5.56 the most. If you guys are, let's just say, hardcore 300 blackout aficionados, and let's say you have a rig similar to the size of a Mark 18, but you're running it in 300 blackout, I recommend the 110 grain Barnes Triple Shock. That is a fantastic bullet. Barnes makes a great bullet. I don't know if Barnes makes the 75 or 69 grain Triple Shock in the 5.56, but if they do, I would imagine that if you can't get the FBI load, that a Triple Shock in 5.56 would also be one heck of a bullet. I actually don't even know if they make 5.56 Triple Shock. I'll have to look that up. But I know the 110 grain Barnes Triple Shock load in the 300 blackout is one heck of a contender if you're wanting to go super, especially with a 16-inch barrel. And a shorter barrel, of course, 300 blackouts lend themselves to being suppressed with subsonic projectiles in the 180 to 220 grain range. So 300 blackout and 5.56, and also ARs that are set up, let's say in 7.62 by 39 or other sort of intermediate cartridges such as that, they really are kind of, in my opinion, delegated more or regulated more for close-in 200 feet or 200 yards and in type of work, okay? Maybe 300-yard shot here and there. But personally, if I need to shoot something over 300 yards away, I'm going to use a much more powerful rifle than an AR-15. Okay, that's just the reality of it. That's sort of the consensus that I've come to over the years of not only doing a lot of long-range shooting, but also just hunting a lot and seeing the terminal effects of different guns on different types of prey, game animals, primarily coyotes and a lot of hogs. I've shot a lot of pigs with 5.56. And I've used mostly ball ammunition, mostly M855 Lithuanian contract Triple G unpainted green tip ammunition, which actually will stop a hog, even a large hog, pretty dang dead in his tracks out of this rig at relatively close range. We're talking maybe 50, 60 yards away. So again, in a close-in fight, a close-in situation, this type of rifle actually still has a lot of oomph and a lot of power in a close-in fight, and has the capability to track out to, you know, some respectable distance, but just don't expect the terminal effectiveness to be quite as good as a 20-inch gun, or obviously a more high-power bolt-action or auto-loading rifle such as a SCAR in 6.5 Creedmoor or something like that. Again, if I'm going to make a shot over 300 yards, I'm generally going to attribute that to a bolt-action in 6.5 PRC, or possibly a 338 Lapua, or something of that, you know, maybe a 6.5 Creedmoor, depending on what I'm trying to shoot and everything like that. So take that with a grain of salt, if you will. You know, I did recently get to do some shooting with Tim over at Military Arms Channel, and we actually got to shoot the 375 Choq, and that was set up in the Desert Tech HTI platform, I believe, is the one that he had there, the bolt action HTI. And it was fantastic. You know, it doesn't really kick that much more than a 300 Winchester Magnum, but a heck of a lot more power, a ton of downrange energy. And with some of the long-range cartridges that we have at our disposal now, such as 408 Choq, 375 Choq, 6.5 PRC, 300 PRC, they absolutely take something like 5.56 and turn it into a over-glorified, close-in, you know, pea shooter, essentially. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be on the receiving end of this thing any more than anyone else, but let's face it, there are many cartridges that outclass the 5.56 in an extremely crazy way. And it's so funny how, you know, the powers that be and all of the media and the government, they always want to demonize the AR as being this crazy, deadly thing. But, oh my gosh, I mean, look at an M1 Garand service rifle, right? Even with just standard M2 ball, a ridiculously more powerful rifle than this will ever be. But it just seems that there's something about the appearance of this that when it shows up, it just makes people feel a certain way. Anyway, I digress. The truth of the matter is that I think Mark 18 from Daniel Defense and similar guns in this type of size range are absolutely perfect for general patrol use, you know, checking out the property, general purpose home defense, good truck gun, nice and stowable, reasonably portable. Especially if you don't run the suppressor. You know, you do have some extra length with the can on here, but if you have run this thing loud, it's a very short, easy to carry little setup, extremely useful. So there's my addition, or what I would like to add as my addition to the what is the perfect AR category. So let me know down in the comment section below, what do you like the most in AR-15? What features do you like? What barrel lengths? Do you like muzzle devices? What type of optic do you like? What kind of stock? I want to know. Kid it out below and tell me your ideal AR-15 setup. And maybe I'll build, if I get one that I really like, I might build it out and do a video on your rig as well. So let me know. Many more videos on the way, y'all. And we'll see you soon.